if you don't have all the information available in the pitch from the beginning, the chances of you getting a response back from the investor becomes less. So if you have everything, the investor understands that you have done your work, you know what is required, you know what an investor looks for, and he is more likely to encourage conversations with you. So I'll share my presentation now. The whole agenda of the presentation is to understand what goes on in a good pitch, and we will also cover a little bit of what angel investing is all about. What do these investors look for? But before that, I want to get a sense of who the audience is today. So can you just I think there is emoticons or raise hand option in Zoom. So all the startup founders, can you just let me know by raising your hands how many startup founders are there? Just click on the raise hand button in the options here. Okay, somebody has given a thumbs up. How many others? Another one. Okay. Two startup founders. Who are the others? Are they wannabe startup founders? Are you planning to start a startup, or what sort of an audience is it today? Can you write it in the chat box and tell me that, hey, this is what I am and this is what I want to do? Sense of understanding, who are we talking to? Okay, startup founder. Got it. Well, who else is there? Are you somebody who supports the startups, or are you somebody who invests in startups, or are you a professor, or are you just a curious student? What exactly are you? So that I get a sense of, where exactly should we be focusing on. Okay, I see a few startup founders messaging. I see a few raised hands as well. Okay, few startup founders are there. Got it. So I assume you have startup founders here in this one, right? And so then in that case, let me just start the presentation. Let me know when you are able to see my screen. Okay. Is everybody able to see my screen? Yes, no? Khushbu ma'am, are you
Yes,
able
sir.
to? Okay, got it. So what are we going to do today, right? So a little bit more about me. I'm Rohit. As Khushbu ma'am said, I'm an angel investor. Didn't start off as an angel investor. Started off as a engineer, computer science engineer, in 16 years ago. Worked for a computer science engineering company. Created software for banks. Then I did my MBA, and then somehow or the other I ended up being an angel investor. There's a long story short. I think there are a couple of interviews of mine online. You can go and check them out. Tells you a little bit more about me. But in essence, right now I am full time into angel investments, raising funds for startups. And our company, which is In44 Capital, it does only tech B2B companies. So we'll come back to that a little bit later. But today's agenda is understanding pitching and angel investments, right? So what are we going to do today for the next 40 minutes or so? Could be plus or minus, 5 minutes. We are going to understand what is a pitch, what are the components of a pitch, what are the types of pitches. How many of you guys here have actually created a pitch already? And how many of you have actually presented to investors? Raise of hands on or anything.
Hi Rohit, very good afternoon. How are you?
Yeah. Sorry,
Hello.
Anshul? Yeah, Anshul, tell me.
Yes, sir. Am I audible? Am I audible? Yeah, am I?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
actually, yeah, I have presented with regarding these pitch decks, right? I already made the pitch decks myself for my
Okay.
company.
Okay. Okay. Great. So I
Yeah.
think then you can probably take a look at, what we as an investor look for in an in pitch deck, and probably you can correct your pitch deck as well, right? And if you already have
Yeah,
everything, sorry. Okay. So moving ahead, our outline today is essentially what is a pitch, who do you pitch to, right? All the pitches are not the same, all the audience is not the same. So whom are you pitching
exactly.
for?
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, I just want to, rectify some of the things from my pitch deck, right, to make this pitch deck much more
right,
feasible for the investors, just like you, right? Yeah.
right.
Thank you for this platform to give
Most
this kind of a thing. Yeah.
sure, most welcome. Right. So then what we will do is what should be in a pitch deck, what are the elements of a good pitch, and we'll cover a little bit about angel investment, what do they look at, and stuff like that. What this is not about, right? And this gets mistaken quite a bit. This session does not tell you how to raise funds. It does not tell you the process of raising funds. It does not tell you how to approach investors. Those things are not in this pitch. That's a separate sort of exercise. It has its own process, and that's out of scope for this one, right? Also this presentation will tell you what should be in a pitch deck. How creative can you get when you're presenting is up to you. So it will not tell you, oh, if it is colorful, it is great, or if it is black and white, it is not that great. Those are not the things that we will talk about. We will focus more on what should be the content within the pitch. So moving ahead, first we have to understand what is a pitch, right? When we say pitch, it has different meaning, right? When you say pitch, you're obviously presenting to someone, and that could be a oral presentation, that could be something that you share across, which is a detailed pitch. It could be something just to you know raise their interest in whatever you are sharing, which is a teaser pitch. A detailed pitch is something which has everything about your company. Every topic is covered, which is a detailed pitch. A textual pitch is something which is very informative. It has a lot of content, but it is not something that you present face to face. It is something which you share across so that that person can read it on its own level. And a visual pitch is something which has less text in it, which is supposed to be an aid while you are presenting, right? So it's supposed to help the audience get attracted to certain items, and it does not contain the same thing that you're talking about. It just shows you a few visual images, which then the presenter is supposed to present, right? Multiple different kinds of pitch presentations happen. It is an act of sharing the ideas with the party. But the one thing that is common in all of them, and in any pitching, one thing that is common is that there is always an ask. So when you say an ask, it is a call to action, or how we call it as a CTA, right? It essentially asks the other party, the audience, to either do some action. Is it like, hey, if you're interested, reach out to me, right? Or hey, if you're interested, would you want to have another conversation? Or do you want to get, investments, or whatever be the case, right? There is always an ask. There is, if you're fundraising, he says, you know what, I am fundraising. I'm raising 1 crore, 50 lakhs, 2 crores, would be part of the investment. There is always something that you're asking the audience to do, and that is when it becomes a pitch. If your entire deck doesn't have something for the other party to take a decision on, it is not a pitch. It is just an information deck. So many times when you go to a customer and you have a customer profile, it tells you all about, hey, you know what, this is my product. But it doesn't tell you anything about what to do with it. It is just a brochure. But a pitch is something which you have and ask for. It is something that you want the party to do, right? And that is when it is called a pitch. So, one pitch, you can use it for multiple different purposes. For example, if you have a very detailed pitch, which contains your business aspect, your technical aspects, your fundraising aspect, your financials, your traction, everything that is there, depending upon whom you are pitching to, you can actually focus on different slides. For example, if you use the same pitch and suddenly you are asked to present to someone, an investor says, you know what, somebody reached out to me and said, you're a good company. Can you present to me in the next half an hour or 1 hour? You will have to sort of understand whom you're pitching to. And then you say, okay, this is an investor. He would be more interested about what have I done till now and what is the fundraising aspect. He may not be too interested in the technical aspects. So you will focus on the slides and you will curate your pitch in such a way that you cover what the audience wants, right? So first of all, you need to know the audience. The second of all, you need to know what exactly are you pitching for. Is it a funding? Is it a customer? Is it a team member? Are you hiring for someone and you're sharing this with them? Do you want them to know about what your company is all about? Different aspects of the company are you going to present? Right, so it's the same deck, but you're going to focus on different slides. One slide which contains what is the fundraise for, what is the valuation, what is the, the what is the team, what is the team like. All of that might be important to one person. But what's your product like? Who are your current customers? What is your pricing strategy? That might be different for when you're pitching to a customer, right? And what is your vision of the company? How are you solving a problem? That might be interesting to a person you are onboarding as a team member. So you need to understand whom you're pitching to. Based on that, your pitching will change. It cannot be the same pitch for everyone, right? So be a bit careful about whom you're pitching for and emphasize that areas as well. So this is how you tailor a pitch for maximum impact. So for example, as we were talking about, right? So when you pitch to a customer, the purpose is to get business. When you pitch to an investor, the purpose is to get investments. Team member is clarity and what is the vision? Are you on board with the vision? And when you talk to somebody like a vendor, an associate, it is more about collaborations. Or where can you collaborate? What are the supports required? Do you want integrations? Do you want extended third party responsibilities? All that stuff comes in. So you have to be ready to pitch different things, right? Also, you have to understand how much does your audience know. When you pitch to an investor, he may have some knowledge about the industry, which is why he's interested to talk to you, but he may not know everything about it. But you have to understand that he may have seen 10 other companies in the same industry. So he will have a little bit of more knowledge in what you guys are doing. He may not have a lot of technical knowledge, but he will know the industry, right? If you have a customer, the customer may not know anything about the technology. He would want to know more about what is the business aspect. So he will have a little lesser knowledge on what you guys are doing. The team member, you want to have high knowledge. You want them to know everything about the company. So you would want them to be aware about everything that is going on in the company, right? Which is high knowledge. So similarly, as I said, when you pitch different things. For a customer, you pitch the problem solution. For an investor, you pitch the investment scope. How well will you get an exit? How much can you make money off? And the team members will be all process, why you should join us, what is the technology, what would you learn. And with the partners, it will be more like, how can we win, how can we make a win-win situation, how can I sell products for you, how we can sell products for me. So a pitching is not always for investors. A pitching is anything that you do to enable the other party to take a decision, right? Fine. So now let's come to the startup. So when you have a startup, you have different stages of the startups, and you cannot have the same pitch all the time. For example, earlier the startup in the journey, when you are just starting with an idea, you won't have a lot of information. You won't have growth. You won't have traction. You won't have an initial set of investors. You won't have much to show. But as and when you progress over the journey of a startup, you will need to keep on adding more relevant information so that whoever you are talking to has the latest information. I have seen pitches which is 1 year old, right? And it says on the pitch it is 2024. So when I see a pitch like that, I don't even know if it is the latest information. Has the person changed their in the last 1 year? Has the person changed the team? Has he made more revenue? A lot of questions come in. So it is very important that you keep the pitch up to date and have all the relevant information. Probably do it once a month or twice a month. If you have different, updates about the company, ensure that your pitch is up to date so that nobody questions, the what do you call it? The recency of the pitch. Everything should be included in the pitch as on date. Also, let's say if you have an idea stage or if you're just starting up, the only thing that you can pitch is your story, right? Why are you starting it up? What is the problem? What is the solution you aim to solve? How big is the market? Those are the things you are selling. You're selling a idea. You're selling a story. And you need to tune it to investors who want to believe the story, right? You want that person to believe you, because there is no product as on date. There is no pitch that you can say, hey, you know what, this product is great. You are selling an idea of a product, which means your storytelling has to be really good. You are selling your team, you're selling your experience, you're selling why you will succeed, you're selling how big the market is, all that stuff, right? So that's an idea stage. Then let's say you get a little bit of funding or your friends and families help you out. You come to an MVP stage. Now, in an MVP stage, you will say, you know what, hey, this is a technology readiness level. You have a TRL, which is something given by the government of India. You have one TRL level 1 to 9, 9 being commercially viable. If you can map yourself saying that, hey, MVP is level 5, level 4, level 6, the investor will understand, okay, you have done something. You have sort of, moved up the ladder. From an idea stage, you're now a product, right? But product is not a business. A product is just something that you have created. You still have to build a business around it, right? So when you have a minimum viable product, you have to emphasize the importance of how did you reach here? How much R&D was used? How much knowledge did you create? Did you create any patents? Did you create any IP? Is there any early pilots going on with a viable product? You need to show that yes, you have moved up from a concept stage to a POC or an MVP stage. That is what you are selling now. You're selling that, hey, you know what? I have a product now and I'm just going to go to the market. And this is how am I going to go? This is how am I going to get customers? This is my first customer. I hope to get the first customer in this way. In the next 12 months, this is my timeline. That is what you are selling. You're selling that you can succeed further because you have built up an MVP. Now, when you get early revenues, nobody can question your product because somebody is actually paying for the product. So everybody who's like, I don't even know whether the market will accept it or not, they cannot say now that anymore because you have people paying for that. But the question is, will these people keep paying you again and again? Because when you sort of build a company, many people will try. When a new chocolate comes out, or when a new chips packet comes out, or when a new Coca Cola bottle comes out, everybody will try it once, right? And that will give you some revenue. But will they keep coming back to you again and again? So early revenues normally does not say that you have the right customers. It just says that people are buying it, right? So it could go away tomorrow as well, but at least you have some revenues today. So at that point of time, you are saying, hey, you know what? I have sold this product to 100 customers, 500 customers. This is the reviews that I got. If the reviews are really positive, you want to build up that product more. If the reviews are a little mixed, you would probably want to change the product a little bit. So then you are asking for funding about, hey, you know what? I have some revenues, but I want to build it better. I have got customer feedback now. I want to build the product better. Want to make my processes better. I want to get a better branding. I want to build up a team for marketing. A lot of stuff happens because now you have revenues and you want to scale it up. So you are asking funding for that scale up project, right? You have a pipeline. You are talking to customers for the last 4 months, 5 months, but you have not got a sale as yet, but you are hopeful that you will get a sale. So then you push it like, oh, a high probability sale, a medium probability sale, a low probability sale. You sort of figure out how much revenue you will be able to get. And then growth stage and late stage. I don't think you will have a lot of people who are in the growth stage or late stage in this group. So I'm sort of skipping that thing right now. But in case everybody wants to understand that, it just goes on from there. So at level 1, you are telling a story. At level 5, you are selling your numbers, because story has already been proved by the time you reach to a growth stage or a late stage. Then it is all about scaling up numbers, growth, and everything. So your story doesn't matter as much as your numbers the more you go up the ladder. But initially, selling your story is the most difficult task the founder will have, and that is where you need to be really good about it, right? So what are the pitch elements? What do you normally have in your pitch? Start with something called as a one liner, which means that your solution should be something that you can explain in one sentence, right? It should not be something which takes a paragraph for you to explain. If you're adding a paragraph, you're adding a lot of unnecessary information. It need not have a lot of technical jargon. It need not have anything. What your essentially saying is, how are you solving something? Are you solving something? This is my solution or my product will help you with this. That's all you're asking for. Because if there is an existing problem, people will get hatched on to your solution. Think that, okay, I have this problem, this guy is giving me a solution. You need somebody to get a hook. And that one liner is the hook that you will have so that people will read the other PPTs, the whole other PPT or the whole remaining PPT you want people to read. And that one liner will sort of hook them in so that they want to read the whole PPT, right? Then you have team. Now, team could be provided in the front or it could be provided at the end. Doesn't really matter, but team has to be showcased. Are you a single founder, or are you having a capable team, or are you planning to hire a team? Whom am I trusting? Whom am I going to bank on? Because as an investor, I'm not running the company for you. Your team is running the company, which means if I am putting in the money, I am putting my money to support the team. So unless I have confidence in the team, I'm not going to invest, right? So if you're a single founder fresh out of college, you don't have any experience. So how do you convince an investor that you are still worthy to take a bet on, right? If you are a 40 years, 25 years experienced in the industry, you are already 45, 50 plus. How do I know you're going to work on the same company for the next 10 years? You may have a lot of experience, but you may have a lot of other problems. So, anyway, from the beginning to the end, the team has to really shine for somebody to take a bet on the startup, right? And that again is a part of the story. Is it a personal problem that you felt that you want it sorted out? Or is it a major problem that you saw out there by market research? How did you find out that problem? Why do you think that problem is worth solving? So that will be your next point, right? Many people say, oh, sir, I'm the first one to solve this problem. The question comes in is, why are you the first? It's 2025. People should have sorted out or tried to solve the problem already. Either the problem is not big enough to be sorted out, or the problem is not important enough to be sorted out, or people have tried and failed. In that case, how are you going to succeed? Those are the things that you have to sort of figure it out. And that's your solution, right? So when you say, I'm the one who will succeed where others have failed, how is your solution better than the others? Right? Are you using different technology? Are you using a different business model? Are you using a different team? Are you going after different customers? How exactly is it unique? Right? And why are you the person whom I should bank on to solve this problem? If I do agree that a problem exists and I do agree your solution is the best, are you the right team to sort of implement the solution? Right? Sometimes the solutions are very, very technical. Let's say if you're making some oil and gas robots, do you have enough capability or understanding about the industry? If you don't have it, do you have advisors who understand it? Why do you think you are better placed than others out in the market to solve this problem? Right? And then you will talk about your product a little bit, obviously. Otherwise, you don't have a company, right? You have to have a product or a service or a sales or a software, something you will have. So you'll talk a little bit about your product. And if you are, MVP stage and above, you will have a little bit of attraction. So you'll talk about that. Now, these are general things. If your company has not come to the traction stage or your company has not come to the growth stage, you don't need to add those slides. But at least all the others are general. So even if you go to the late stage, you still have to have your team, problem solution, everything has to be there. And at the end, you will have to have an ask saying that this is what I want. Am I wanting collaboration? Am I wanting more customers? Am I wanting your advice? Am I wanting your funds? What do you want? And if let's say you are asking for funds, where are you going to deploy the funds? How are you going to use the funds? Many people are like, sir, I want $1 million. First of all, if you're sitting in India, why are you saying $1 million? Should be in crores, right? Because your revenues will be in India. Your valuation should also be in India. So what is this $1 million coming in? And the weird thing I hear is lakhs of dollars. I think, yeah, somebody said lakhs of dollars. I said, what is lakhs and dollars? If it is dollars, it will be million. If it is lakhs, it will be rupees. So be a little bit more careful there because If your solution is an Indian solution and you're solving an Indian problem, you better have everything in crores and lakhs. But if you're sorting out revenue, sorting out something for, let's say, Europe or Americas or Singapore, then you can probably have it in dollars because you will get money in dollars. But if you're getting money in Indian rupees, there is no point of putting in dollars. It just confuses people, right? And an idea stage company asking for $1 million, the question is, what are you going to do with 8 crores, 9 crore rupees? Are you going to use that to come to MVP level? Are you going to use that to come to growth level? Why do you want 8 crores upfront? So if you have a justification for that, even if it is 10 lakh rupees or 8 crore rupees, a justification should be that, sir, if I get these 10 lakhs or 8 crores or 1 crore, this is where am I going to use for. You cannot say, sir, I will figure it out. I said, I'm not investing in a company who has not figured out what they want to do with the money, especially when it is not their money and I am investing in you. I should have some clarity on where my money is going to be used for. Right? I don't want the money to be sitting in an FD somewhere. If I wanted to put it in an FD, I will do it myself. Why will I put it in a company? So when you want to use it, you have to deploy it. And for that, I have to have a clear idea where. If it's an idea stage company, you're going to say, hey, 20 lakh rupees is required for me to build up an MVP, or 20 lakh rupees is required for me to build a proof of concept. If you already have early traction, then 5 crore rupees is required for me to do marketing, increase in products, hiring more people so that expand faster. What are you going to use the money for? It is very essential that you answer those things. Right. So those are which these are the questions I will definitely ask. Any investor will ask you because these are the basic of understanding what a business you're planning to run. And I'll again tell you, a product is not a business. So if you're saying, sir, I will build this, that is not going to help me at all. You can build whatever you want, but can you sell it? Can you build a business around your product? That is very important. So you have to figure out that how are you going to make money and how are you going to make more money than you spend. Essentially, a business has to be that, right? So figure those things out and put that in a pitch deck. So this is something I copied online. None of this is mine. I just showed it here because if somebody asks me what is the standard pitch deck looking like, there is no standard pitch deck, right? But what happens is, as we mentioned earlier, there are certain things which has to be in a pitch deck, and there are certain things which are nice to have. For example, if you see these companies, or these are the top investors. Some long you have Sequoia Capital, which got broken up into three different companies, three different funders now. Next View Venture, these are all USA level things. In India, you don't have anything built like this diagram, so I'm using a USA one. But the idea is the same. The large pink ones is must have, which means these are the questions every investor will ask you. But then, depending upon individual investors, they might have something more. They might ask you, hey, you know what, my thesis doesn't allow me to do this, or my thesis or my investors want me to answer this question. So you might as well add it. For example, if you see Sequoia Capital, in Sequoia Capital, product and the details of the product is a must. But if you go to Next Ventures, they don't require a product, right? If you go to Crowdfunder, they don't require a product. But you would say that, product is essential to have, but for them it is not, right? A business model is mandatory for everyone. How are you going to make money, right? I mean, is it a B2B, B2C? Are you going to spend 500 rupees, or are you going to spend 5,000 rupees, or is each one of your product 5 lakh rupees? How are you going to make money, right? So this is not something which is standard. If you go to an investor, there is a high chance that even after your pitch, they will ask you a lot of questions. But the idea of the pitch is to get them interested to talk to you, which means basic information has to be there, right? And enough information for them to be interested in you. Okay, so most of the questions should be answered. A little bit deeper dive questions are yet to be done, which you can probably do over conversations, interviews, when you talk to the investors after that. But if your pitch is not very well made, it is not well formatted, it is not, properly colored. I have seen pitches where one slide is pink, one slide is green, one slide is yellow. It's jarring colors, right? It just gets to your eye. and I will be like, I'm not seeing this pitch anymore because it's not well presented. And because I see 5,000 companies out there, there is a high chance that I will see a lot of companies which I like, but I may not be able to invest in all of them. So if you are a good company and you have a potential for investment, if your pitch is not well made, there is a high chance that investors won't look at it because there are other opportunities out there as well. No investor is saying that I want to be a part of every good company. They are saying I will be a part of good companies I can sort of be a part of, right? I mean, I'm okay to let go of a good company, but I would rather not get into a bad company. And if your pitch is not properly made, the first thought process is that the founder is not very serious. The founder doesn't know how to pitch. So he most probably doesn't know a lot of other things as well. And if that thought process comes in, you're probably a reject anyway. So you don't want to do that. You want to have a good pitch which shows your professionalism and which shows that yes, you know what you're doing, and therefore I should have further conversations before I make a decision. Even after seeing a very good pitch, I can still reject it. But at least it will not be because I did not understand the business. It would not be because I did not like the founders. It would be for multiple other reasons, but not because the pitch was not very clear or it was very confusing or not all information was there. That is not the reason you want to be rejected for, right? So this is the last slide for pitch session. And this is, if you don't know him, he's Ashwath Damodran. He's one of the well-known professors and industry experts when it comes to valuation and startups. So he had done the valuation for Uber, and he tells a story about, how did his story for Uber was different from others. So it's a 1 minute thing. You can hear this, and then we'll sort of come next slides.
With young companies, it's all about the story. When I valued Uber in June of 2014, this was a startup still, a young company losing a lot of money. My entire valuation was built around my story about Uber being an urban car service company. That drove my entire valuation. And when I finished my valuation, Bill Gurley, venture capital, leading investor in Uber, said, "You got the story all wrong. Uber is not a car service company, it's a logistics company." Notice how words have consequences? By using the word logistics, what's he done? He's tripled the size of his business. We could be delivering and moving. He said, we're not just urban, we're going to be everywhere. And he said, we're not just going to have local networking benefits, we're going to have global networking benefits. In fact, when he told that story, I valued the story for him. My value for Uber was 6 billion, his value was 53 billion. What separated us was the story we told. With young companies, your story will define your value. So if you're a founder, the words you use to describe your business can be the difference between a $6 billion valuation and a $53 billion valuation.
So that's essentially, the story. When you're pitching the story, right? At very early stages of the company. And if your story is right, then your pitch will actually be a lot more impactful.
With young companies.
Right? I think this is done. Cool. So we'll take a break here. The next one is about angel investing. If you guys want me to finish that part before we come to question and answers, we can do that. Or I can take question and answers on the pitching first, and then we can do the angel investment part of it later on. How do you want to do this thing? Shall we take question and answers later on? I have just like 5 minutes presentation left. Yes, no, hi, hello. Everybody awake? Is it? All right, so I think we'll go ahead. We'll finish the presentation and then we'll take the question and answers. So what we are going to do next is talk a little bit about angel investing, right? So when you talk about angel investor, who is an angel investor? What do they look for? How do they value companies? Why are they investing? All of those things are what we are going to look in the next 5 minutes or 7 minutes. Right. So first of all, we need to understand who are angel investors, right? When you see the areas from which you can raise funds, you have a lot of options. You have, from your personal, you have friends and families. You can reach out to incubators, accelerators. You can reach out to MII Foundation. You can reach out to other accelerators across India like NASCOM. You have a lot of others, right? So you get funding from there. You get funding, seed funding from governments. You get seed funding from philanthropic companies, CSR companies. A lot of funding is available for all of these things. After you have done all that, right? Once you have raised the capital a little bit, is when angel investors come in. So angel investors will only come in when they see that you have a skin in the game, which means that unless you have invested in your company, you have substantial sacrifices that you have done or substantial interest in seeing the company succeed, an angel investor is not going to invest. For example, if you have a full time job and then you are running a startup on the side, you can't go to an angel investor and say, hey, you know what, if you raise funds, then I will leave my company and join full time. That's not showing me enough confidence because you don't believe enough in the company to leave your job and start a startup. Then why should I believe in your startup? If you are having enough skin in the game where your fortunes and my fortunes are tied up together, I won't invest. Right? An angel investor is somebody whom you don't know. Your friends and families, yourself, are the first backers for you, right? They are the ones who will give you the first initial set of money. But once they have sort of helped you out to a certain level, after that, you're going out to a third party whom you don't know about to raise funds from, right? And these are the ones whom you called angels because that is when you require a lot more support. And anybody who helps you when your company requires support would be considered as an angel in the Western parlance. So an angel investor typically invests from MVP stage to a growth stage company, as this slide showcases. Very rarely will they invest in idea stages. Having said that, you have investors who will back ideas, but this slide is made on an average. So, on an average, they will invest from pre revenue stages like a POC or an MVP all the way till growth stages, right? And this is where the ticket sizes matter. So every investor might invest 2.5 lakhs, 5 lakhs, 10 lakhs, 50 lakhs. The super investors like Kunal Shah and all might invest 2 crores, 3 crores and all. But there's a limit to how much will they put in every company, which is what limits them to this range. Because anything after growth stage would require a lot of funding, and they may not be interested to give that much funds. So they would rather invest in early stage companies where the fund requirement is 2 crores, 3 crores, or 8 crores, and take a larger chunk of the company rather than going later on and probably owning 1% or 2% of the company. So before going to angels, you have a lot of other options. You can go to accelerators, seed funders, incubators, friends and families, crowdfunding. All of this thing India is open for, right? Before going to an angel investor. So they will ask you, why are you coming to me? Have you raised funds from your family? Have you raised funds? Have you invested enough of your own capital? Right? Why are you coming to me? Have you tried out everything else? And if you have answers for that, then it convinces them that yes, you have gone to all the places and you have enough traction or enough, enough development done in your company before you come to them and they can help you out. So an angel investor would probably be looking at a lot of this thing. And this is an acronym that we use in our industry. It's called SCREAM. Doesn't tell you much. Essentially, it says the same thing, which is like, TAM, SAM, SOM, how big is the market, what is the team, why you, how much is the competition, how much of conviction do you have in yourself, do you calculate all the risks, stuff like that, right? So metrics, extraction, anticipated successes, how will you give me an exit, how long will it take, how much revenue will you get, all that stuff. So it's just an acronym that we use, but essentially all of this thing we have already covered in the pitching session, right? So when anybody evaluates, like for example, when we evaluate, we don't use this framework, but essentially we evaluate everything. So we evaluate the team, we evaluate the market, we evaluate the product, financials, and exits, right? One thing you have to be very clear about is that as an investor, my idea is not to run the company with you. And my idea is not to run the company for 20 years with you. My idea is to invest in you so that I can exit, right? So, which means I am looking to make money. I am not looking to be a part of your team forever. So unless there is a possibility of me to take the money out, let's say 5 years down the line, I won't invest. Right? I am looking to make money when you are running the business by giving you my capital. You have been able to give me better returns than if I had invested in other places. So I want an exit. I want to take my money out. If I don't see that option, I'm not investing, right? So, however good your team might be, however good the market might be, unless I see an exit, I will not invest. So, you have to be very clear that even if you do take external capital, whom are you going to exit? Okay. So that's one of the things you have to be very careful about. Other things, everybody has their own opinions on a few things. Somebody might want an IP backed asset, somebody is fine with a similar business model or whatever. But exits is something that you have to be really focused on in terms of as a founder. Where do you see you giving exits? Right? Apart from that, these are other places that we evaluate. Now, this is a mix and match for everything. Not everybody will be looking at everything. It depends on the investor. And if you have 10 angel investors, 10 different thought processes will go on. Somebody will focus more on promoters, somebody will focus more on product market fit. Because as an angel, I am putting in my capital and I have all the rights to evaluate it the way I want to. Right? So you can't tell me, sir, this is not the right way to look at it. It is because it's my money. I can look at it with the way I want. But in general, a lot of people look at these things. They look at whether you have a defensible IP, whether they look at, oh, are you a person who is mentorable? Can you sort of, mold yourself to become a better founder, or let's say for growth, you need to have a different mindset. Are you able to do the groundwork and not just sit in the offices? Do you have an order book? Everything, right? Because at the end of the day, you are selling a story, and in the story, what do I believe? And all of these things will help me believe your story, right? So every investor will have a different take. I might like a story, another person may not like a story, but your job as a founder is to tell your story. So we never say that you get rejected by investors. What we say is that the investor was not a right fit for your company because he was looking for something else and you were looking for something else. The fit was not there. Doesn't mean your company is bad. It just means that you need to keep looking for an investor who believes in you, right? And that is a big sort of a shift in the mindset because people are like, oh, I got rejected by 40 VCs. If you pitch to the wrong VCs, you will get rejected by 40 VCs. You have to understand if the VC believes in your value, right? If the VC doesn't invest in a B2C startup, for example, in our company, we do B2B, business to business. A B2C company comes to us as an outright reject. Not because I don't like B2C, it is that my company will never invest in a B2C. Right? It doesn't mean your company is bad. It's mean you're pitching to the wrong person. So be very careful when you reach out to angels. What do they believe in? Have they invested in that space before? Are they bullish about the space? Even for VCs, go to the website, check out the thesis, understand what they are doing. Have they invested in similar companies in the past? Have they written some notes about that industry that you're a part of? Do a little bit of research on the VC side of things, right? So that's a little bit about angel investing, and I will close this by saying this is something that we do at In44 Capital. We do early stage B2B funding. We were operators, we were handling investment for other people. Now we have started investments of our own. We invest somewhere around 50 lakhs to 2 crores in every company that we invest in. And our focus area is MVP to early stage revenues. So if you're already raising Series A, Series B, that is not for us. If you are in an idea stage, that is not for us. So MVP to early revenues is what we look at. We lead rounds, we co-invest as well. And that's pretty much about it. Our website is there, our LinkedIn is there. And if you're looking to pitch to us, if you fall in our category, happy to look at your companies. You can send us a mail on that email ID. And yeah, so now I think I'll close the presentations, open for question and answers if any of you have any. And Khushbu ma'am, over to you now.
Thank you so much, sir, for insightful session. Anybody have any questions? Please unmute your mic and directly ask to sir. Anybody have any question? Please free to drop your question and directly ask to Rohit sir. I think what is X factor?
The X factor is, as they call it, X factor, in the sense that a lot of investors will have this gut feeling, no, in the sense that, oh, you know what, I'm on the fence side. I like the company, but I'm not very sure about it. So, and then you ask them to describe why. They're like, you know what, I'm not entirely convinced. And I think that is something an angel investor always does. It is because when you ask them to pinpoint the problem, they will be like, my gut doesn't tell me that it is a good one, right? Or let's say in your founder list or your product, you might say it is differentiated, but another investor may not believe it is that much of a differentiation. For example, you have a software which is already available. You say, I'm putting AI on that software, right? And is AI enough of a differentiation is a question. So that becomes an X factor, right? You can't say it is much of a differentiation. Somebody will say it is a lot of differentiation. So that's something that the angel investor themselves have to decide. You can't do much about it. But what they are looking for as an X factor is how much passionate about are you in the company? Is there a fire in the belly? That happens when you're talking to them. So that's generally the X factor. You can't put a definition on it.
I have another question. Sorya. Hyderabad SSP India is asking, can you talk in person over the LinkedIn?
Yeah, I'm happy. You can connect to me in LinkedIn. We will see what is the discussion about, and then accordingly, I'll get back to you.
Any other question? I think sir, no more questions.
Sure, no worries. Thank you very much for that.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Roy sir.
Thank you very much, Khushbu ma'am.
Ram sir.
Thank you, Rohit sir. Thank you for giving your time, and thanks to all the participants also to attend this session. And I think all of them are getting some insights how to make the pitch and how to present their venture to the investors. I think it will be helpful in the future. They will get some bright or some investments in their venture also with the help of this. So thank you, Rohit sir, once again to join us and to give your valuable time and knowledge to us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ram sir.
Thank you so much.
Have a nice day. Thank you very much.
Yes.